Two strangers in the rain. Liam sat alone in his small, quiet house, staring at the glowing screen of his tablet. Rain poured outside, tapping against the windows like impatient fingers. It was a cold, dark night, and the street outside his home was completely silent. Not even the stray cats dared to come out in this weather. He yawned, ready to call it a night, when suddenly there was a knock at the door. It was soft at first, almost hesitant. Knock. Knock. Liam froze. His neighborhood was quiet and isolated. He didn't get visitors, especially not this late. He glanced at the clock on the wall. It was just past midnight. Another knock followed, louder this time. "Who's there?" Liam called out, his voice uncertain. No answer, only the sound of the rain and the faint whistle of the wind. Cautiously, he approached the door, grabbing a flashlight on the way. He peered through the peephole, but the rain had fogged up the glass. All he could make out was the faint silhouette of two figures standing on his porch. Liam hesitated. This didn't feel right. "I'm not opening until you tell me who you are," he shouted. A soft, shaky voice replied, "Please, we need help. Don't leave us out here." The voice wasn't human. It had an echo to it, almost musical, but weak and trembling. Liam's heart raced. He thought about calling the authorities, but something in the voice stirred a strange feeling in his chest, fear mixed with curiosity. Against his better judgment, he unlocked the door and opened it just a crack. Standing before him were two tall, thin figures. Their cloaks were soaked, sticking to their bodies. They were definitely not human. Their pale, bluish skin shimmered faintly under the porch light, and their large, almond-shaped eyes looked at him with desperation. "Please," the shorter one said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We have nowhere else to go." Liam didn't know what to say. He had heard rumors about aliens on Earth, but they were always just stories. To see them standing here, on his porch, was unreal. "Who are you? What do you want?" he asked, keeping the door half closed. "We escaped," the taller one said. Her voice was steady but tired. "They're hunting us. We don't want to hurt you. We just need shelter for the night." "Who's hunting you?" Liam's grip tightened on the flashlight. The taller alien hesitated, glancing over her shoulder at the dark, empty street. "Bad people. Dangerous people. Please, if they find us, they will." Her voice trailed off, but the fear in her eyes said enough. Liam's mind raced. Letting them in could mean trouble, big trouble. If someone really was hunting them, he'd be putting himself in danger. But leaving them out in the rain, knowing they were in danger, didn't sit right with him either. "All right," he said reluctantly. "Come in, but just for tonight." The aliens stepped inside, their movements slow and careful, as if they didn't fully trust him either. Liam closed the door behind them, locking it tight. The smaller alien pulled back her hood, revealing delicate features and silvery hair that clung to her face. She looked exhausted, her shoulders trembling from the cold. "Thank you," she said softly. "You've saved us." "Don't thank me yet," Liam muttered, handing them a towel. "I don't know what I'd just gotten myself into." He led them to the living room and gestured for them to sit on the couch. They obeyed, sitting close together like frightened children. Liam noticed scars on their wrists, faint but unmistakable. "Are you going to tell me what's going on?" he asked, standing across from them. "Why are you being hunted?" The taller alien hesitated, glancing at her companion before speaking. "We escaped from a place. A bad place. They took us, forced us to work for them. We ran, but they followed." "Who's they?" She shook her head. "You don't want to know." Liam sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. He had a million questions, but he could see they were too tired to answer. Their eyes kept darting to the windows, as if expecting someone to break in at any moment. "All right," he said finally. "You can stay here tonight. I'll figure out what to do in the morning." Both aliens looked at him with gratitude. "Thank you." The smaller one whispered again. Liam fetched blankets and a spare set of clothes, then left them to rest. As he climbed into bed, his mind swirled with worry. Who were these women? Were they really in danger? And what would he do if their hunters found them here? Just as he began to drift off, he heard a noise, a faint thud on the roof. Liam's eyes snapped open. His heart pounded as he grabbed the flashlight and crept to the window. Outside, in the rain, a shadow moved. Someone, or something, was out there. A dangerous secret. Liam barely slept that night. Every creak of the house and gust of wind sent his nerves into overdrive. His guests, if he could even call them that, slept huddled on the couch under the pile of blankets he had given them. But the unease in his chest wouldn't let him rest. Morning came slowly, the pale light of dawn breaking through the rain clouds. Liam brewed himself a cup of coffee, his mind buzzing with questions he didn't know how to ask. The two alien women stirred awake, their eyes heavy with exhaustion. Kale, the taller of the two, looked at him cautiously. Vyra, the smaller one, seemed more fragile, avoiding eye contact as she wrapped the blanket tightly around her shoulders. "You said someone's hunting you," Liam started, breaking the silence. "I need to know the truth if I'm going to help you. What exactly are we dealing with here?" Kale exchanged a glance with Vyra, who nodded slightly. "You deserve to know," Kale said, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. She rolled up the sleeve of her tattered cloak, revealing a thin metallic line embedded in her arm. It looked like some kind of implant, glowing faintly. "What is that?" Liam asked, leaning closer. "A tracker," Kale replied. "They can find us because of this. We removed Vyra's weeks ago, but..." She trailed off, her jaw tightening. "You're telling me they can follow you here?" Liam's voice rose, panic creeping in. Kale nodded. "I've been trying to disable it, but the tech is advanced, beyond anything humans know. I thought we could buy more time, but now..." Liam ran a hand through his hair, pacing the room. "So you're leading them straight to me? Fantastic. Just fantastic." Vyra spoke up, her voice soft but firm. "We didn't mean to endanger you. We had no choice, if you want us to leave." "No." Liam cut her off, surprising even himself. "You're staying. We'll figure this out." Kale hesitated. "You don't understand. The people hunting us, they don't just stop. If they know we're here, they'll burn this entire place down to get to us, and anyone in their way." Liam paused, his fists clenching. "Who are they exactly?" Cal's expression darkened. "They're called the Syndicate, a galactic crime organization. They deal in everything: illegal weapons, resources, and people. We were taken from our colony, forced to serve them as slaves." Liam's stomach churned. The word slaves hit him harder than he expected. He'd heard stories of aliens visiting Earth, of intergalactic politics and shady organizations. But this was personal, brutal, and real. "How did you escape?" he asked. Kale glanced at Vyra, who was staring at the floor. "We stole a transport ship during a supply run. We managed to crash land on Earth, but not before they tagged us with these trackers. They never let anyone go." Liam's thoughts raced. The Syndicate sounded like a nightmare straight out of a sci-fi movie, but this was no fiction. It was happening, and it was happening to these two women in his living room. "All right," he said, taking a deep breath. "Let's focus on the tracker. If we get rid of it, they won't be able to find you. Right?" Kale nodded hesitantly. "In theory, yes, but removing it is dangerous. It's designed to send a signal if tampered with. That's why I haven't tried it yet." "So we have to disable it without triggering the signal," Liam muttered. He stared at the faintly glowing line on her arm. "Let me think." Just then, a soft beeping noise broke the tense silence. Cal's eyes widened in horror. She grabbed her arm, her expression frozen in shock. No, No, no. What? What's happening? Liam demanded. The tracker, Kale whispered, her voice trembling. It's been activated. They know we're here. Panic gripped the room. Vera clung to her sister, her breaths shallow. Liam felt the weight of the situation crash down on him. How long until they get here? He asked, his voice urgent. Cal's answer was like ice. Minutes. Maybe less. Liam's survival instincts kicked in. He grabbed his old toolbox from the closet and dumped it on the table. We're not just sitting here waiting for them to show up. Let me see that tracker. You can't disable it, Kale said, shaking her head. It's too advanced. Maybe for you. Liam interrupted, but this is my house, my rules. Give me a chance. Reluctantly, Kale held out her arm. Liam studied the implant, his hands trembling slightly as he worked. Every second felt like an hour, the weight of their lives resting on his shoulders. The faint sound of engines echoed in the distance. They were coming. Hurry, Vera whispered, her voice barely audible. I'm trying. Liam snapped, sweat dripping down his forehead. Finally, with a sharp click, the glowing line flickered and went dark. The tracker was disabled. For a brief moment, relief washed over them. But then, the sound of heavy boots crunching on the gravel outside shattered the calm. They're here, Kale whispered, her voice filled with dread. Liam grabbed a crowbar from the toolbox and turned to face the door. Stay behind me, he said. The battle for survival was just beginning. Hunters on Earth. The air was thick with tension as Liam peeked through the curtains of his living room. The rain had finally stopped, but the silence outside was far from comforting. It was the kind of silence that made his skin crawl. Kale and Vera sat on the couch, their pale faces even more drawn than before. They hadn't spoken much since the tracker had been disabled, but their fear was palpable. You're sure it's off? Liam asked Kale, his voice low. She nodded, clutching her arm where the implant used to glow. It's off, but that doesn't mean they're far. Vera shifted nervously, glancing toward the window. They'd always find a way. Always. Liam wanted to tell her she was wrong, that they were safe now. But even he didn't believe that. The faint sound of engines in the distance had been growing louder for the past few minutes. Then it happened. The headlights. They appeared at the edge of the street, cutting through the darkness like the eyes of a predator. A black vehicle rolled to a stop outside Liam's house, its engine purring ominously. They're here, Kale whispered, her voice shaking. Liam's heart pounded in his chest as he stepped back from the window. Stay low. Don't make a sound. Kale grabbed Vera's hand, pulling her to the floor behind the couch. Liam quickly turned off the lights, plunging the house into darkness. A car door slammed outside, followed by heavy footsteps. Liam grabbed a crowbar from his toolbox and gripped it tightly, his palms sweaty. He wasn't a fighter, but he'd be damned if he let anyone hurt the sisters. The footsteps stopped just outside the front door. Then came a knock, sharp and deliberate. Knock, knock, knock. Liam Grayson, a deep voice called out. It was cold, mechanical, and inhuman. We know you're in there. Open the door, and no one gets hurt. Liam didn't answer. His grip on the crowbar tightened as he motioned for Kale and Vera to stay hidden. We only want the fugitives, the voice continued. Hand them over, and this will end peacefully. Refuse, and we will come in. Cal's eyes met Liam's from across the room. She shook her head, mouthing the word, don't. Liam took a deep breath, his mind racing. If he opened the door, they'd take the sisters, and probably kill him anyway. If he didn't, they'd break in and find them. He needed a plan, and fast. The knock came again, louder this time. Last chance, Grayson. The voice warned. We have no patience for games. Liam glanced toward the kitchen, where he kept a back door that led to the woods. It wasn't much, but it was their only chance. He crouched down and whispered, Kale, Vera, go to the kitchen. There's a door that leads outside. I'll distract them. Cal's eyes widened. What about you? Don't worry about me, he said firmly. Just go. Now. Reluctantly, the sisters obeyed, moving as quietly as they could. Liam turned his attention back to the front door, his pulse hammering in his ears. All right, he shouted, stepping toward the door. I'm opening it. Don't shoot. The footsteps on the porch paused. For a brief moment, Liam thought his bluff might work. He swung the door open slightly, just enough to see the figure standing outside. It was tall and armored, with glowing red eyes that cut through the darkness. A weapon was slung across its chest, humming with energy. Where are they? The figure demanded. They ran, Liam lied, keeping his voice steady. They heard you coming and took off through the woods. The figure tilted its head, considering his words. You're lying. Before Liam could respond, the figure raised its weapon and fired, straight into the ceiling above him. The blast shook the house, raining plaster and dust onto the floor. Tell me where they are, the hunter growled, stepping inside. Liam backed away, gripping the crowbar tightly. I'm telling you the truth. They're gone. The hunter scanned the room, its glowing eyes flickering. If they're gone, then you're of no use to us. It raised its weapon again, aiming directly at Liam. But before it could fire, a sharp, high-pitched noise filled the air. The hunter froze, its head snapping toward the back of the house. Cal and Vera had triggered something, some kind of device Liam had never seen before. A blinding light erupted from the kitchen, followed by a pulse that knocked the hunter off its feet. Liam didn't wait to understand what had happened. He grabbed the crowbar and swung it at the hunter's weapon, sending it skidding across the floor. Run, Cal shouted from the kitchen. Liam bolted toward them, his heart racing. The sisters were already at the back door, their faces pale but determined. Let's go, he yelled, ushering them outside. As they disappeared into the woods, the sound of engines roared to life behind them. The hunters weren't done yet. The chase had only just begun. A desperate escape. The forest was alive with sound. Branches snapping, leaves crunching underfoot, and the distant hum of engines closing in. Liam's breath came in ragged bursts as he led Cal and Vera through the dense woods behind his house. The cold night air bit at his face, but the adrenaline pumping through his veins kept him moving. Faster. Liam hissed, glancing back. He could see the faint glow of flashlights bobbing in the distance. The hunters were closing in. Cal, despite her exhaustion, kept up, her sharp eyes scanning the shadows for danger. Vera, however, was struggling. She stumbled over a root, barely catching herself. I can't, Vera gasped, clutching her side. I can't keep up. You don't have a choice. Liam snapped, pulling her to her feet. They'll catch us if we stop. Cal stepped in, wrapping an arm around her sister. We'll make it. Just keep going. The trio pressed on, weaving through the trees in silence. Liam's mind raced as he tried to remember the layout of the forest. He had explored it countless times as a kid, but now it felt like an endless maze. They're cutting us off, Cal said suddenly, her voice sharp. Liam stopped and listened. She was right. The faint hum of engines was no longer behind them. It was ahead. The hunters were trying to box them in. Do you trust me? Liam asked, turning to face the sisters. Cal's gaze was unwavering. We don't have a choice. Good, Liam said, his tone grim. Follow me. He led them off the main path, plunging deeper into the undergrowth. The branches scratched at his face and arms, but he didn't care. There was only one place they could go now, a place he hadn't visited in years. Minutes felt like hours as they moved. The sounds of the hunters grew louder, their voices echoing through the trees. We're running out of time, Cal warned. There's an old cabin up ahead, Liam said. If we can make it there, we might have a chance. They burst into a small clearing, and there it was, the remains of an old hunting cabin, half hidden by vines and overgrowth. It was small and crumbling, but it was shelter. Inside, Liam ordered, pushing the door open. The cabin was dark and smelled of damp wood, but it would have to do. Cale and Vera slipped inside, and Liam quickly barricaded the door with a heavy wooden beam. "This won't hold them for long," Cale said, her voice tense. "It doesn't have to," Liam replied, rummaging through the cabin. "We just need to buy some time." "What are you looking for?" Vera asked, her voice trembling. "Old traps," Liam said. "My dad used to use this place for hunting. If I'm lucky, some of his gear is still here." Cale joined him, searching through the dusty shelves. "You think traps will stop them?" "Not for long," Liam admitted, "but it'll slow them down." Outside, the sound of footsteps drew closer. The hunters were nearly at the clearing. "Hurry," Vera whispered, clutching the blanket she had brought from the house. Liam pulled out a rusty bear trap, his heart leaping. "This'll do." Cale found a coil of wire and handed it to him. "Set it near the entrance." They worked quickly, setting up makeshift traps near the windows and door. Every second felt like a lifetime as the hunters drew closer. The first one appeared just outside the window, its red eyes glowing in the dark. "They're here," Vera whispered, her voice trembling. The hunter stepped onto the porch, its heavy boots creaking on the wooden boards. Liam held his breath, gripping a crowbar tightly. The door rattled as the hunter tried to push it open. "Grayson," the hunter called, its voice cold and mechanical. "You can't run forever. Hand them over, and you'll live." Liam didn't respond. The door shook again, harder this time. Then, with a deafening crash, the hunter kicked it open. The bear trap snapped shut, catching its leg. Sparks flew as the hunter collapsed, its weapon clattering to the floor. "Now," Liam shouted. Cale and Vera bolted out the back window while Liam grabbed the fallen weapon. It was heavier than he expected, but he aimed it at the hunter anyway. "You should have stayed on your ship," Liam growled, pulling the trigger. A bright blast of energy shot out, hitting the hunter square in the chest. It fell back, motionless. "Go!" Liam yelled, climbing out the window after the sisters. The trio ran deeper into the woods, the sounds of the remaining hunters hot on their trail. The cabin had bought them time, but the chase was far from over. As they ran, Cale looked at Liam with a mixture of fear and admiration. "You didn't have to do this." Liam didn't look back. "Yeah, well, you're stuck with me now." The hunters wouldn't stop, but neither would they. The truth about the sisters. Liam leaned against a tree, struggling to catch his breath. The woods were eerily quiet now, the only sound the faint rustling of leaves in the cold wind. Cale and Vera stood a few feet away, their silhouettes barely visible in the dim light of the moon. "We can't keep running like this," Liam said, his voice low but firm. "They'll find us again. They always do." Cale didn't respond immediately. Her eyes were fixed on the ground, her hands clenched into fists. Vera, still trembling, clung to her sister's arm like a lifeline. "We never wanted this," Cale said finally, her voice heavy with guilt. "You didn't ask for any of it, and yet you're risking your life for us." Liam shook his head. "We're past that now. What I need from you is the truth. No more half answers, no more vague warnings. Who are you? Why are they after you?" Cale hesitated, glancing at Vera. The younger sister looked terrified, her large, shimmering eyes darting nervously between Liam and the shadows of the forest. "You wouldn't understand," Cale said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Try me," Liam shot back, stepping closer. "Because right now, all I see are two scared women dragging me into a fight I didn't sign up for. If I'm going to keep helping you, I need to know what I'm dealing with." Cale took a deep breath, her gaze meeting his. "We're not just refugees, Liam. We're rebels." Liam blinked. "Rebels? Rebels against who?" Vera answered this time, her voice trembling but determined. "Against the Syndicate. They control entire systems, planets, colonies, people. They enslave anyone who can't fight back. Our colony was one of their targets. Kale picked up where her sister left off. Our people were taken, families separated, forced to work in the syndicate's factories, mines, wherever they needed bodies. We were no different until... She trailed off, her jaw tightening. Until what? Liam pressed. Until we became something they couldn't control, Kale said, her voice cold. Liam frowned. What does that mean? Kale hesitated, then raised her hand. A faint, bluish light began to emanate from her palm, swirling like liquid energy. What the... Liam stepped back instinctively. This is why they want us, Kale said. Our people don't usually have abilities like this. It's rare, dangerous. They saw it as a weapon they could use, but we escaped before they could turn us into tools for their war. Liam stared at the glowing light in Cal's hand, trying to process what he was seeing. So, you're... what? Some kind of superpowered alien freedom fighters. Not by choice, Cal said, letting the light fade. We didn't ask for this, Liam. We didn't want any of it. But if they catch us, they'll kill us, or worse. They'll use us to hurt more people. Liam's mind raced. The syndicate wasn't just chasing them out of revenge. They wanted to turn them into weapons. Suddenly, everything made sense. The relentless pursuit, the trackers, the overwhelming resources. They're scared of you, Liam realized. They know what you can do, and they're afraid of it. Cale nodded, afraid of what we might inspire. If the syndicate falls, the people they've oppressed will rise up. It's bigger than just us, Liam. Vera stepped forward, her voice soft but urgent. That's why we can't stop running. If we're caught, it's over, for us and for everyone counting on us. Liam looked at the sisters, their fear and determination written on their faces. He thought about the danger they had brought into his life, the hunters that would never stop coming. But he also thought about the scars on their wrists, the desperation in their eyes when they had first knocked on his door. All right, he said finally. I'm in. Cal's eyes widened. What? I'm not just going to stand by while you two get hunted down like animals, Liam said firmly. If the syndicate is as bad as you say, then someone needs to fight back. And if that someone has to be me, so be it. You don't have to do this, Vera said, tears welling in her eyes. Yes, I do, Liam replied. Because if I don't, who will? Before Cal could respond, a loud crack echoed through the forest. The sound of a branch snapping underfoot. They're here, Cal whispered, her light flaring to life instinctively. Liam grabbed the alien weapon he had taken from the hunter at the cabin, his heart pounding. Stay close to me, he said. This ends tonight. Cal nodded, her expression hardening. We fight together. As the shadows of the hunters emerged from the darkness, Liam realized there was no turning back. The truth had changed everything, and now it was time to act. No safe haven. The hum of the stolen alien weapon echoed in Liam's hands as he paced the small hideout. The abandoned radio tower on the outskirts of town was cold and damp, but for now, it was safe. Cal sat near the wall, her sharp eyes scanning a holographic map she had projected from a small device hidden in her cloak. Vera rested beside her, shivering, clutching the blanket Liam had salvaged from his house. We can't stay here, Cal said, her voice tense. They'll track us. It's only a matter of time. Liam rubbed his temples, exhaustion tugging at every fiber of his being. Yeah, I figured that much. Got any bright ideas on where we can go? Cal hesitated, glancing at Vera, who looked too weak to speak. Finally, she sighed. There's someone who can help us. An old ally. He was part of the resistance against the syndicate. Was. Liam raised an eyebrow. Why isn't he part of it now? Cal avoided his gaze. He left. Said the fight wasn't worth it anymore. But he's still one of the best engineers in this sector. If anyone can get us off this planet, it's him. Liam leaned against the wall, crossing his arms. And where exactly do we find this miracle worker? Kale tapped the holographic map, zooming in on a small, desolate outpost deep in the mountains. Here. It's far, but we can make it by nightfall if we move fast. And if he says no? Liam asked. Then we're out of options, Kale said bluntly. Vira looked up, her voice barely above a whisper. He won't say no. He knew our parents. He'll help. Liam studied their faces, seeing the weariness and determination that mirrored his own. All right, he said, pushing off the wall. Let's get moving. The journey to the outpost was grueling. The path wound through steep cliffs and narrow trails, with the ever-present threat of syndicate hunters looming over them. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound amplified by the tension in the air. As they climbed, Vera stumbled again, her body too weak to keep up. Liam caught her before she fell, holding her steady. We can't keep pushing her like this, Liam said, glaring at Kale. Kale's jaw tightened. Do you think I don't know that? But if we stop, we die. Liam clenched his fists but said nothing. He hoisted Vera onto his back, carrying her the rest of the way. By the time they reached the outpost, the sun was dipping below the horizon, casting the mountains in an eerie orange glow. The outpost itself was little more than a ramshackle collection of metal huts and scavenged tech, perched precariously on the edge of a cliff. This is it? Liam asked, skeptical. Kale nodded, leading the way to the largest hut. She knocked twice, then 3 times more in a specific rhythm. For a moment, there was no response. Then the door creaked open, revealing a grizzled older man with a mechanical arm and piercing green eyes. Kale, he said, his voice rough. Didn't think I'd ever see you again. Neither did I, Kale admitted. But we need your help, Jarek. Jarek's gaze shifted to Liam and Vera, then back to Kale. You've got a lot of nerve showing up here. You know the syndicate's got a bounty on your heads, right? Of course I know, Kale snapped. That's why we're here. We need a ship, something fast and untraceable. Jarek laughed bitterly. A ship? You think I've got a fleet just lying around? You're lucky I'm even opening this door for you. Vira's weak voice cut through the tension. Please, Jarek, you knew our parents. They fought with you. They believed in you. Jarek's face softened, and he sighed. Your parents were good people. But that fight cost me everything. My crew, my family. I'm not that man anymore. Kale stepped forward, her tone desperate. Then help us end it. Help us finish what they started. Jarek stared at her for a long moment, then stepped aside. Come in. Let's talk. Inside the hut, Jarek's workshop was a chaotic mess of wires, tools, and half-finished projects. As Liam set Vera down on a makeshift cot, Jarek studied him with a curious expression. You're human, Jarek said. Didn't think your kind got involved in fights like this. Liam shrugged. Didn't plan on it. But here we are. Jarek chuckled. Fair enough. Kale wasted no time. Do you have what we need? Jarek sighed, rubbing his mechanical arm. I've got a ship. It's old, but it'll fly. The problem is the syndicate patrols. They've got scanners everywhere. You'll never get out of the atmosphere without them tagging you. Can't you disable the scanners? Kale asked. Not without drawing attention, Jarek replied. But there's another way. He pulled out a small device from a drawer, holding it up. This is a cloaking module. It'll make the ship invisible to their scanners, for a while. But it's unstable. Use it too long, and it'll fry the entire system. It'll have to do, Kale said. Jarek hesitated. Are you sure about this? Once you take that ship, there's no coming back. They'll hunt you to the ends of the galaxy. Kale's eyes burned with determination. They're already doing that. We have no choice. Jarek sighed again, shaking his head. All right, I'll get it ready. But you better pray this works. As he disappeared into the workshop, Liam looked at Kale. Do you really trust him? Cal's expression was unreadable. I don't trust anyone. But right now, he's all we've got. In the distance, the faint hum of syndicate engines echoed through the mountains. Time was running out. A new beginning. The stolen ship trembled as it powered up, its engines humming with a shaky, uneven rhythm. The ancient vessel was held together by patchwork repairs and sheer willpower, but for now, it was their only chance of escape. Inside the cockpit, Liam gripped the controls tightly, his knuckles white, as he glanced at the holographic display flashing warnings in an alien script he couldn't read. "This thing better fly," he muttered, beads of sweat rolling down his face. "It will," Cal said, strapping herself into the seat beside him. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed her anxiety. "Jarek wouldn't have let us take it if it couldn't handle the job." From the back of the ship, Vera called out weakly, "The engines sound bad." "They're not bad," Liam replied, trying to convince himself as much as her. "They're just old. Big difference." Cale leaned forward, staring at the radar. Red blips were closing in fast. "They found us. Syndicate patrols are closing in from all sides." "Great," Liam groaned. "What else is new?" "Focus, Liam," Cale snapped. "We don't have time for jokes." Outside the ship, the cold, desolate mountains of Earth stretched endlessly, but the faint glow of syndicate ships was already visible in the sky. The enemy vessels hovered like vultures, their sleek designs a sharp contrast to the rusted hulk Liam was piloting. Cal's fingers danced over the console, activating the cloaking module Jarek had installed. A low hum filled the cabin as the ship shimmered, disappearing from sight. "We're cloaked," Cale said, exhaling sharply. "For now," Liam replied, gripping the controls tighter. "But Jarek said this thing isn't stable. If it blows mid-flight, we're toast." The first syndicate ship zipped past them, scanning the area. The cloaking field held, but Liam could feel the tension in the air. "They're scanning hard," Cale muttered, her hands twitching near the weapons console. "If they catch even a flicker, they'll lock on." "Just keep quiet," Liam whispered, his eyes darting between the radar and the cockpit window. The seconds dragged by, each one heavier than the last. For a moment, it seemed like they might actually slip past the patrols. The syndicate ships began to fan out, their lights fading into the distance. Then the alarm blared. "Cloaking field destabilize," Cale said, her voice sharp with panic. "What does that mean?" Liam demanded, though he already knew the answer. "They'd spotted us," Cale said grimly. The radar lit up as the syndicate ships turned back toward them. The lead vessel opened fire, its energy cannons lighting up the night sky. "Hold on," Liam shouted, yanking the controls hard to the left. The ship groaned in protest as it veered sharply, narrowly avoiding the first volley of shots. Cale activated the ship's defensive systems, firing back with everything they had. The cannons sputtered, releasing weak bursts of energy that barely scratched the syndicate ships. "This isn't going to work," Liam shouted over the chaos. "Just keep flying." Cale snapped, her eyes locked on the display. In the back, Vera clutched the edge of her seat, her eyes wide with terror. "We're not going to make it, are we?" "We will," Liam said, his voice firm. "I didn't come this far to fail now." Cal's hands flew over the console. "I'm rerouting power to the engines. We'll outrun them." "And if that doesn't work?" Liam asked. Cal glanced at him, her expression hard. "Then we fight." The ship surged forward, its engines roaring louder than ever. Syndicate vessels swarmed behind them, firing relentlessly. Explosions rocked the cabin as energy blasts narrowly missed their hull. "This is insane," Liam shouted, maneuvering the ship through the narrow canyon below. The rocky walls blurred past them, the syndicate ships struggling to keep up. Cale activated the rear shields, deflecting another volley of shots. "We just need to get into orbit. Once we're out of the atmosphere, they can't follow us. And how exactly do we survive until then?" Liam demanded. Kale didn't answer. Instead, she activated a hidden panel on the console, revealing a glowing sphere. "What's that?" Liam asked, his eyes narrowing. "A failsafe," Kale said. "It's an energy pulse. It'll fry their systems, but it'll take ours down too." Liam stared at her. "You're kidding. You want to shut us down in the middle of this fight? Do you have a better idea?" Kale snapped. Liam hesitated, his mind racing. The syndicate ships were closing in, their weapons charging for a final strike. "Fine," he said, gripping the controls tightly. "Do it." Kale activated the sphere. A blinding wave of light erupted from the ship, spreading out in all directions. The syndicate vessels faltered, their engines and weapons going dark as the pulse overloaded their systems. The cabin plunged into silence as the pulse hit their own ship. The lights flickered, and the engines died, leaving them drifting in the darkness. "Now what?" Liam asked, his voice low. "Now," Kale said, staring out at the stars, "we hope this thing has enough backup power to get us out of here." As the ship's systems slowly rebooted, Liam took a deep breath. They weren't out of danger yet, but for the first time, he felt a flicker of hope. Kale looked at him, her expression softening. "Thank you, Liam, for everything." "Don't thank me yet," he replied. "We've still got a long way to go." The ship's engines roared back to life, propelling them toward the stars. For the first time, the vast expanse of space felt like freedom, not danger. And for Liam, Kale, and Vera, it was the beginning of something new, a fight worth risking everything for.